Gentleman from Texas is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield myself as much time as I may consume.
Gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand in strong support of the Syria Civilian Protection Act, authored by my good friend, Chairman Engel. For nearly 7 years, we've watched the barbaric Assad regime launch countless attacks on the people of Syria. And since the conflict began in 2011, more than 500,000 people have been killed and 14 million have been forced from their homes. This destabilizing exodus has imposed painful burdens on neighboring countries. Our committee has heard disturbing testimony directly from Syrians caught up in this horrific nightmare. In fact, I recently met with the brave defector known to the world as Caesar, for whom this bill is named. His story is gut-wrenching. He told me about the shocking scale of torture and murder being carried out within the prisons of Syria. The photographic evidence he smuggled out and showed to us proves beyond any doubt the brutality of Bashar al-Assad. And the images are shocking and indelible. The bill before us today will increase international pressure on Assad and his backers by targeting their means of support. Foreign companies and banks will have to choose between doing business with Assad or with the United States. The bill will also sanction anyone who flies weapons or fighters into Syria to support his murderous regime. This bill is about creating leverage to push the parties to negotiate. It's about finding a way forward to be determined by the Syrian people that does not allow Assad to continue to exterminate them or drive them from their homes. This bill passed, as the chairman said, has passed the House twice and is long overdue. I am confident it will pass tonight, and I hope that the Senate will take it up promptly in the new Congress. I urge all members to join us as we seek to ease the immense suffering of the people of Syria and give them a better hope for the future. With that, Mr. Speaker, I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman from Texas reserves the balance of his time. Gentleman from New York is recognized.
I thank the ranking member, and I yield 3 minutes to the gentleman from Michigan, Mr. Kildee.
Gentleman from Michigan is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank my friend for yielding. I rise today in support of this legislation, H.R. 31, the Syria Civilian Protection Act of 2019. I'm a proud original co-sponsor of this legislation. Over 7 years, nearly 500,000 Syrians killed, 6 million Syrians driven from their country, over 10 million Syrians displaced and forced from their homes, countless acts of atrocities from the Assad regime. Clearly, it is time for this Congress to act, and this bill would do that. It would bring much needed accountability to the Assad regime, which is responsible for horrific crimes against its own people. It would do so by allowing sanctions to be imposed on people that contribute to these cold-hearted and merciless acts. It would require the Treasury Department to determine whether to target Syria's central bank with money laundering countermeasures. Quite simply, I agree with Chairman Engel. We need a political solution that ends Assad's crimes, removes him from power, and allows the Syrian people to develop their own future for their own country. Assad must be held accountable for the massacre of his own people, and this bill will begin to do just that. Additionally, Russia and Assad must stop standing by and systematically allowing ISIS to attack minority populations in Syria, including the Druze people. We cannot expect much from these actors, but it is incumbent on them to protect minority populations in Syria and the territory that they control. Further, it's also the responsibility of the President of the United States and his national security team to speak with one voice regarding our policy in Syria and the region. Thank you. I thank the chairman. The President has time and time again illustrated that our allies and our adversaries simply cannot trust what the President says. The administration needs to articulate a cohesive strategy for the region and for Syria, particularly after the President, with no warning to our partners, announced the U.S. withdrawal. Finally, Mr. Speaker, like Chairman Engel, I want to thank all of those who have advocated for this bill, for their tenacity, for their engagement, and I urge my colleagues to join with them and stand up for them and immediately pass this critical legislation to hold Assad accountable.
Gentleman
With that, I
from
yield back.
Michigan yields back the balance of his time. Gentleman from Texas is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I